Fora TV. The world is thinking.
I guess, this is a sort of an eternally interesting question now, this rise of China question. And I was thinking through earlier, why is this so interesting, or at least why has it interested me for the past 14 or 15 years? And I guess part of it is that this is a country in enormous transition. It's an economic transition, and I think probably on the brink of some kind of political transformation in the next decade or so. It's a country that wants to urbanize 400 million people between 2000 and 2030. That's the entire population of the United States that it wants to move into cities. I mean, the demographic and the geographic implications of that, I think, are mind-boggling. I don't think we have no idea what this country is going to look like politically or economically 10 or 15 years hence. And thus it makes it quite interesting to think about this rise of China. We don't even know what this country is going to look like. I think the opaque nature of its political system also makes it difficult for us really to grasp fully what's going on in this country. We can't open the newspaper one day and read, oh, Hu Jintao said this, but yesterday Wen Jiabao disagreed with him. And by the way, Li Yuanchao has a fundamentally different perspective about where this country ought to go. So that while we do have the internet and blogs and other voices certainly coming to the fore in China and many more sources of information to try to understand the country, nonetheless, we don't know what China's military budget is. There's a lot of opacity still within the Chinese political system. Again, that makes it, I think, difficult for all of us to grasp the intentions and the direction of the country. And finally, I think, and probably this will become clear over the course of the panel, and maybe it's a very obvious point, how you understand this country, which is incredibly complicated and so varied throughout the country. If you travel from one end to the next, you feel as though you're visiting many, many different countries, just like you do in the United States. But how you understand it, I think, has everything to do with how you intersect with it. And just to lay it flat out, for me, I've intersected with this country primarily through the realm of the environment. And so 14 or 15 years, I interact mostly with environmental NGO activists in China and with officials who work on the environment or energy or in the finance communities. And that profoundly shapes my perspective on this country. The way I look at it tends to be with not just factories as a source of growth, which of course they are, and an engine of this economic miracle, which of course they have been, but also the environmental devastation that these factories have wrought by the fact that 80% of them simply dumped their wastewater into local streams and rivers. And yes, the dolphins die, but more to the point, 190 million people drink water that is so polluted that the Ministry of Water Resources said that it's dangerous to their health. So I think part of the way of understanding what you're going to hear tonight is to think about how we approach these issues as an issue of how we've intersected with this country over however long it is that we've been engaging with it.